decided in response to that to create a constitutional court, which would do this. If a lawsuit is filed against the state challenging the constitutionality of a statute, the state can, if it wants, and they have, and no one can prevent this, move the case into constitutional court. It's not challengeable. It's not appealable. The state can decide to do that. And so if they think, for example, that the case involving the redistricting should really go to a constitutional court, they can just move it there.
Yeah.
And in fact, they've now started doing that. They've said, okay, let's get this constitutional court going and we'll see what's going on. The constitutional court is made up of 3 judges. They're selected similar to how judges are selected today. That is, they go through a confirmation, the Judicial Selection Committee. They go to the governor, and then the Senate appoints them. But because it's not a full-time court, it's not something that you would really need 3 judges for. It's kind of going to be made up of current judges or retired judges who can work part-time. And so that's how it's been implemented. I think they've already selected their first 3 judges, and there's already been a challenge to that constitutionality of that court.
So one of the things that our listeners should know is, yes, there are 4 cases that Utah Attorney General Derek Brown has asked to be heard by this court. So you mentioned 3 of them: redistricting, abortion, Great Salt Lake, and the other one is a lawsuit brought by young people about oil and gas affecting air quality.
Right, yes.
So one of the things I think that's interesting, especially in this most recent lawsuit, is the argument, and I'm not an attorney, but I don't disagree with the argument that it somehow seems not right that only one party gets to choose or request whether a lawsuit goes to this panel of 3 judges, and there's no recourse for the plaintiffs.
Exactly. No, and that's something that they felt was unconstitutional. It gives one party to a lawsuit more power than the other, which is not. We go into court with everybody on equal footing. That's how the court is presumed. And one party shouldn't, according to the lawsuit, be allowed to say no, because what they're calling it is forum shopping. In other words, the state can do this. A case is filed challenging the constitutionality of a statute. If the state feels like the judge that's got that case is probably fairly conservative, they can leave it there. But if they don't like the judge, they can move it into the constitutional court.
Right.
So they get 2 shots.
Right.
The plaintiffs don't.
That's
the plaintiffs
right.
are stuck with whichever court the state decides it's going to go to. And so they're saying that's forum shopping. Of course, the legislature is saying, well, it's not, because it's random. The selection of the judge in the first place is basically lottery. It goes through a system. A judge is assigned, and the 3-judge panel is assigned. So that it's going to be questioned. But it is a little odd that a single party to a lawsuit, because I can't think of any other kind of case where that can occur, where one party or the other can choose the forum and say, no, we want to move it here. In criminal cases, the defendant has a right to a jury trial. You can elect to have a jury or not. But that's just how the ultimate verdict is decided. And the state can weigh in on that, by the way. It's not just a unilateral decision. So that's not the best example. But I just can't think of anything else where one party can move a case and the other party can neither challenge it nor appeal it nor move it themselves.
So one of the things I'm not clear on is if the 3-judge panel, so there are 3 judges that have been named for the redistricting case.
Right.
And they're from the 4th district, the 3rd district, and the 2nd district. But are they going to be the same for all of the cases, or is it just on a case-by-case basis there will be a new 3-judge panel every single time?
So that's not clear. What I think is that they're going to be the judges for all the cases, because I think what happens is the 3-judge panel is appointed for a period of time because there aren't that many cases.
Well, that's true.
There may be 4 immediately here, but 4. Maybe there'll be 4, the same 4 2 or 3 years from now. It's not like we have constitutional issues that come up all the time. So my guess is once they've appointed this constitutional court, they'll probably sit and hear all the cases that are brought before them during this period of time. Now the court may have a sunset clause where you appoint and bring in new judges, but for now, I think those are going to be the 3 judges that hear constitutional questions.
So it's almost a little amusing, but not really, that the legislature passes a law that creates a court that plaintiffs are going to ask another court to rule unconstitutional. Am I getting that right?
No, you're right. The constitutionality of a law is being challenged while the session is still going where that passed the law. I mean, this went so quickly and has moved so fast through the system that it's already being challenged while other laws haven't even been enacted yet.
Oh, most laws.
Right.
Yeah. So not only did it get signed by the governor, but it had a date of immediate enactment.
Right.
Yeah,
you know that's probably unusual.
That is very
because usually
unusual.
it's like this law will go into effect June 1st or November 1st.
It's
or something
May
like
something
that.
and July 1st.
Right.
I think usually those are the two times. But yeah, you can do it effective immediately if you have enough. A high enough percentage.
And I think the governor signed it almost immediately.
He did, yeah.
So it's no surprise that it's gone into effect real quickly. It's maybe, I don't know, no surprise that it's being challenged so quickly. I mean, somebody had this lawsuit written before the governor signed it, probably just challenging the whole idea of it.
Yeah, I would assume that's the case because they knew it was coming down the pike. So it'll be interesting to see what the Utah Supreme Court says on this one.
Oh yeah, and that should be, who knows when that'll be. I don't know that that's one of those rush situations.
They asked for extraordinary relief because I think it is a rush, especially with redistricting.
Yeah, well, there you go, because they could make a ruling.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be unlikely they'd do something
Not for the 2026,
right?
I'm
Yeah,
guessing, but
that'd be a stretch.
they did ask for extraordinary relief.
Right.
So. Okay, speaking of lawsuits, the U.S. Department of Justice is suing Utah, specifically Utah's lieutenant governor, because they want all of our private voter information. And the lieutenant governor, director of elections, said, no, we're going to break down the details when we come back.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program and the Shingo Institute at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. This generation will experience more job turbulence than any generation previously. A recent study suggested that this generation may change jobs 10 to 15 times. Education can be a buffer to job turbulence, but it must be continuous. Just having a college degree helps, but formal and informal continuous learning will help you survive. Learn a new software, get a new certificate or master's degree. Be flexible, work at home, be willing to travel. Keeping your job involves looking over the horizon and seeing the needs of your company before they do. It does not require a crystal ball, just some analytic tools. An MBA can give you some of those tools and can help you see how to adapt to your company's needs and how to move on to the next opportunity when the time comes. Learn more about strategic career management with an MBA from Utah State University. Go to utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side, your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed, plus an extra $100 off all mattresses. And Saturday, only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
Jackson Hewitt knows taxes are complicated, and with multiple jobs and tax forms, they're like Sonata complicated. Our no surprise pricing keeps things simple. Jackson Hewitt does your taxes for only $149 or less. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back. So what are you waiting for? Hurry. File with Jackson Hewitt today for only $149 or less, guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, what do you want your parents to hear?
I feel sometimes that I'm not listened to. I would just want you to listen to me more often and evaluate situations with me and lead me towards success.
We're not adults, so just be there and listen. I just want someone to yap to. And I just feel like I'll be fine if someone just hears me talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
You're doing a really good job. And I don't think I tell you that enough. And I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us. But, try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
A family office is a team built to handle the 3 biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Inside Sources.
Okay, so we're going to pivot to another lawsuit this morning, Holly, and for our listeners' benefit, we're not talking about any other lawsuits after these two, but there are two that happened very recently that we just thought were so interesting that we couldn't just pass them by.
Yeah.
We spoke recently about a lawsuit challenging the Utah's Constitutional Court. There's now been a lawsuit filed by the United States Department of Justice suing the lieutenant governor over voter information.
And, you know, it's just really wild to me, basically, that the federal government is telling states, send us not just your voter files, your publicly available voter files. Send us everything you have on every single voter in your state, and we're going to compile it all in one big database, and we, the federal government, will decide whether they should be on the list or not.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened here. On July 15th, the Attorney General of the United States sent a letter to the Lieutenant Governor of Utah seeking compliance with Utah's federal election law. And so they can ask for information, but they have to state a reason. The reason they stated was to assess Utah's compliance with the statewide voter registration list maintenance provisions of the National Voter Registration Act. Now, this doesn't even suggest that Utah's doing anything wrong or there are any problems in Utah. In fact, just the opposite. We have very good records here in Utah of how we're doing our voter registration.
Yep.
And how we're handling that. The Lieutenant Governor responded. She sent the list. But she didn't
Hello.
She sent it redacted.
Publicly available.
How's it going?
Available information. And the
Nice. Where are you guys at today? Oh, in Layton. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, Andy just left, and I was like, "Wow, it's early," but that makes sense. Well, it was like 5 or 6 minutes ago.
just the last 4 digits. That doesn't identify.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Okay, same. Okay.
Anyway, so we're not really asking for anything that's all that personal. The lieutenant governor thought she had complied by sending some redacted information. The Department of Justice said no. They've now filed a lawsuit asking a court, the district court here in Utah, to order that the lieutenant governor supply that information.
One of the things that's really interesting is that at this point, the DOJ has sued over half the states in the nation saying, send us our list. This is not just a blue-red thing. It's like, we want all voter information, and they want to centralize it. And one of the things that's so weird to me about this is we have so often, for so many years, as long as I have been involved in politics, Republicans have said local control, local control, local control. And they would, if the shoe was on the other foot and it was a Democratic administration demanding private information from voter rolls, I think there would be an absolute outcry. There would be pushback, not only pushback, but lawsuits and, how dare you tell us what to do? And here we see, Republican states against a Republican administration saying, we're not going to do that. That's not the appropriate role of the federal government. I personally think the state of Utah is correct to say, no, you don't get these.
That's the real irony of it. Utah is a bright red state.
Oh, yeah.
We support Trump did very well in Utah the last 3 election cycles, and a lot of our elected officials, as you know, all of our statewide officials and federal officials are Republicans. So it's not like we have some problem. And the internal audits that have been conducted of Utah's voter system have been incredibly good. Like we're not doing anything wrong. So I don't know why we're in this group of 29 states with the District of Columbia that are under the gun of the Department of Justice, but they're not happy with what was sent by the lieutenant governor. They filed this lawsuit asking for more information. And what they do is they cite a number of provisions of federal law that allow the federal government to look into state records, such as the Civil Rights Act of 1960, some case law that has been enacted since then, and other things where the federal government does have certain abilities to go into state records and make sure that they're being compliant with federal law. This is probably, I think some people would see it as a step toward federalizing elections, which is what really scares a lot of people right now.
It absolutely is that. And, we have talked before on this show, and we talked with Jay Evenson, the opinion editor of the Deseret News, and I can't remember exactly the number of counties. I know it was more than 3,000 counties in the United States, and each county is in charge of the elections in their county. So they maintain the voter rolls there in their county. And then he said, imagine that going to one giant database where we already know there are some security risks. And then you're saying, well, bad guys, you only have to hack into one database, and then you have everything for every single registered voter in the United States versus you have to hack into over 3,000.
And in July, I think we're celebrating the 250th anniversary of our Constitution, Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many years we've had voting since then, but it's gone pretty well. Like the states have done a good job. We've elected Republican presidents. We've elected Republican senators and congresspeople and Democrats. And it seems to be working fairly well. So I don't understand. There's a real fear among some people about the upcoming midterms. It seems to be an overwhelming fear that there's some wave going on in the country right now that might change the makeup of our congressional representatives. And there's some fear as to how that can happen. And maybe if we federalize it, that we can, that's just me guessing, and I hate to sound cynical, but ways to maybe prevent that from happening.
So during President Trump's first administration, he tried asking for this then as well. And he had bipartisan pushback from Republican states, Democratic states. There's bipartisan pushback on this too. But one of the things I think that's interesting also is that California, which is a blue state, of course, they had their voter rolls requisitioned. They said no. The DOJ sued. They countersued, and California was able to get the lawsuit to get the federal courts to agree with them. It was not constitutional for the Department of Justice to demand all of this private voter information.
And wouldn't that be interesting if Utah did the same thing, so that you had a Republican versus Republican fight over the access, a Republican state against Republican federal government?
And it's not just Utah that's a Republican state.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If there are 29, you can imagine that there have been several red states hit by that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I read the lawsuit, and they go through the law that provides when the government can request this information, and they claim that they've complied with everything that's been requested there, and that the state didn't give them adequate information. The state's saying, well, we gave you all the we just redacted personal information, which we're entitled to do, and the feds have said, nope, we need more information.
So the lieutenant governor responded on social media too, and this is part of the news articles as well. But one of the things that she said is that the Justice Department has declined our previous offer to share publicly available voter lists with them. And then her response is this: neither state nor federal law entitles the Department of Justice to collect private information on law-abiding American citizens. Utahns can be assured that my office will always follow the Constitution and the law, protect voters' rights, and administer free and fair elections.
Yeah. And so I don't know. This one's, you mentioned something I hadn't thought about. This one's interesting because can Utah countersue? And will they countersue like California did? There's been some precedents for that. I guess the Ninth Circuit decided that what was happening there was wrong, or at least a California federal court did. And so Utah might want to jump on the same thing if that's what they want to do. Because I don't see the lieutenant governor just rolling over on this. And because it sets a bad precedent for her office as well, perhaps.
Well, and again, think about if the shoe was on the other foot, right? The outcry would be nonstop and very, very loud. So Utah, of course, we know this is not unexpected. Utah Democratic Party Chair Brian King called the lawsuit blatant overreach and said the federal government demanding unfettered access to the state's voter rolls, including sensitive personal data, is not about election integrity. It's about controlling and interfering with the midterm election in November.
Yeah. Well, we'll follow that lawsuit. It just was filed, and we're catching up on it now. Remember yesterday we talked about when the Pentagon orders a lot of pizza late at night, they're probably planning something?
Yes.
So what happens when the United States urges people that are staying, our embassy in Jerusalem, to exit, to get as many people out of there as quickly as possible? Is that a sign that something's coming on? We'll talk about that when we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour: Utahns have plenty of concerns about the economy as we head toward the upcoming midterm elections. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
A quarter of all Utahns say they're worried about their jobs and the economy as midterm elections approach. Those same numbers are reflected nationally, according to a poll by the Deseret News and the Hinckley Institute of Politics. Other major worries in the state include family values and faith, followed by immigration and inflation. Nationally, healthcare and inflation follow behind worries over the economy.
The same poll shows only 35% of Utah respondents approve of Congress, with the majority saying they are unhappy, again closely following the national trend. A family in Virginia says they would like more than an apology after their son received an acceptance letter from BYU that turned out to be a mistake. Owen Johansson is one of 9 students who received mistaken acceptance letters from the school. He tells KSL he was angry and sad when he was told it was all a mistake. His mom, Talay, says BYU should honor their initial offer.
I don't want them to just do it for Owen. I want them to do it for these 8 other students. I have been completely heartbroken by this entire process.
BYU says it was a systems error that led to the mistake. They apologize to everyone affected and are working to make sure this doesn't happen again. Our top national story this hour: former President Bill Clinton faces a deposition before the House Oversight Committee today. He will be asked questions about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. ABC News senior political correspondent Rachel Scott says it comes after his wife spent her day in the courtroom yesterday.
Emerging from a 6-hour-long deposition with the House Oversight Committee, former Secretary of State and former First Lady Hillary Clinton defiant.
I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein. I never went to his island.
In a blistering opening statement, Clinton insisting she and her husband, former President Bill Clinton, were being forced to testify to distract attention from President Trump's actions and to cover them up despite legitimate calls for answers.
Today's deposition will play out very much like yesterday. No press cameras allowed in. Your money at this moment: the markets are still down, but not by quite as much as they were last hour. Right now, the Dow is off 489 points. That is 1%. We're at 49,009. The Nasdaq down 186. Coming up, we've got some sunshine and nice temperatures today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 9:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you've ever set New Year's resolutions before, you know how difficult it is to follow through because you have to wait to see the results. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and in honor of your New Year, New You resolutions, Any Hour Services is having our New Year, New System sale. From now until the end of February, Any Hour Services will give you $2,026 off a new furnace and air conditioner. And you don't have to wait to save the money. You get $2,026 off at the time of purchase. The only thing you have to do to qualify for our New Year, New System sale is call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. When you call, there's no obligation to buy. Just schedule a time to meet that works best for you. Let me say that again. From now until the end of February, when you have Any Hour Services install a new furnace and air conditioner, we'll give you $2,026 off. Call Any Hour Services right now and schedule a free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You may not think about Great Salt Lake, but it's affecting your life every day. It brings lake effect snow and epic powder days. It supports thousands of jobs that keep Utah thriving. It provides a haven for millions of birds. And it keeps our air cleaner and our summers cooler. It also could affect your home's value, your kids' asthma, your morning run, your powder days, your future. Without a healthy lake, we face toxic dust storms full of mercury and arsenic, along with higher health costs, fewer jobs, and lower home values. This isn't just an environmental issue, it's personal. The lake affects you. Now, it's your turn to affect the lake, because our lives depend on our lake. Act now at growgsl.org.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Direct deposit gets you $300. Love where you bank. And back to you, Cormac.
Well, we had a crash southbound I-15 near 4th South, but it looks like they just drove away minutes ago, so no more delays on I-15 all across the Wasatch Front. We do still have a little bit of congestion at the mouth of Big Cottonwood Canyon as skiers try to go and hit the slopes. And in Lehigh, the normal trouble spots, but lighter volumes. Eastbound Pioneer Crossing, just a little bit of delay as you approach I-15. And 2100 North, those spotty scattered delays seem to be easing. Common Spirit, hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
What a beautiful day in store. We'll be partly cloudy with a high around 60. More of the same tomorrow, Sunday. More clouds and a chance of rain coming in into Monday. Right now, though, a few clouds and 41 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, by all accounts, things in the Middle East are really heating up, and with the prospect of a U.S. strike on Iran looming, the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem has told its personnel to depart Israel and to do so right away. ABC News chief foreign correspondent Ian Pennell has the latest as the pressure continues in the Middle East.
A U.S. official confirming to ABC News before the latest talks that Iran's offering to suspend its enrichment of uranium for a limited period. But remember, the president demanding no enrichment, no nuclear program at all. And as tensions rise this morning, the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem authorizing the departure of non-emergency U.S. government personnel and family members from Israel.
And Iran, from what I'm hearing, is talking about enriching uranium to the point where they can use it for energy production, not a bomb, which it takes a significantly more enriched level of uranium to build a bomb than to build a nuclear facility that you can
right.
generate nuclear power.
I think Ian Pinnell was a little understated in the asking personnel to leave, because this is Mike Huckabee, who is the ambassador to Israel, and he said, get out today, like in all caps. Like, if you're going to leave, get out today. Don't wait. Don't put it off. Get out today. And to me, that is a real indicator that, holy cow, something's happening over there. We certainly know there has been a lot of military equipment deployed. So the USS Gerald R. Ford is on its way to Israeli shores right now. We've got bombers that are over there, fighter planes over in the Middle East right now. And I wonder if we'll have a peaceful weekend.
And you told me something that scared me as well in this. That is that other countries are telling their people the same thing, including China.
China has told its citizens, so it's not saying leave Israel, they're saying leave Iran as soon as possible, citing a significant rise in security risks in the Middle East. People are expecting that this is going to explode.
Yeah, and there's a huge military buildup in the area by the United States. They've got significant. They've got an aircraft carrier or two, I think, in the area.
Yeah.
They've got a number of bombers that are parked at one of the airports in Israel that look like they're poised to go.
Ben Gurion International Airport. And so one of the things that I'm seeing on X is that this is with an international affairs guy that I follow frequently, and he just said basically this has turned into an aerial refueling tanker base. There are at least 14 KC-135s and KC-46s on the ground, and calls it a major Air Force deployment to Israel as the U.S. prepares to strike Iran.
Well, and maybe it's who blinks first. Maybe Iran comes to the table and says, time out, we will suspend our uranium enrichment for some period, maybe forever. Who knows? I mean, we had a agreement with them for some time that I think Trump drew us out of that would have prevented this. I think there was a treaty regarding nuclear enrichment that had been entered into that we got out of. And I don't know, I'm probably talking out of my head here, but we're now concerned with, again, and what were we talking a year ago? Not even a year ago.
It was in the fall.
In the fall, that when Hegseth said we
obliterated
all their nuclear program. Now here we are a couple of months later, and they're getting close to making a bomb. They have these huge centrifuges that they use to make the uranium more and more enriched until you get it to a level that you can do something productive with it. And what they're saying is that they've got 3 of those in Iran, and as long as they continue to operate, the United States is going to be on edge.
So the Associated Press is reporting that Marco Rubio is planning to visit Israel in the next week as U.S.-Iran tensions remain high. I think that's an understatement, and maybe we're reading too much into it, but that's a lot of military movement and requests for people to get out of Dodge, basically, for it to be like, well, tensions are high. Yes, they are.
Yeah, and apparently somebody from the UN, a confidential report from the UN nuclear watchdog, has said that Iran is not offering inspectors to check into their sensitive nuclear sites because they were bombed. And I guess Iran's saying, well, we don't want you to inspect them because then you'll know where they are and you're going to blow them up. And I don't know, you would almost think they could do some sort of a neutral third party to come in, Canada, China even, and say, okay, we went. Maybe China's not the most neutral, but have somebody come in and say, okay, or a conglomerate of countries that are not.
China's been arming Iran.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So they're not neutral.
Bad example.
They've been sending arms to that country. Look, I just want to go back to Huckabee's email telling people to leave. It's not only leave today, it is get out in any location you can and then find your way back to the United States. Take any flight you can out of this country and then find your way back to the U.S., and this will be at government expense.
I'm hoping this is scare tactic. I'm hoping this is to get everyone interested and to get Iran's attention, which they have no doubt done, and that something happens. I hope that But when you start having countries like China telling their people to get out, then you would assume that at least some people are thinking it's more than just a bluff.
Yeah, and Huckabee additionally said in his email, while there may be outbound flights over the coming days, there may not be. Right. So when you're using Ben Gurion International Airport for your staging location for American planes, not passenger planes, American military planes, right? There's something going on.
And let's admit that Iran is not Venezuela. It is much better armed. It has much more people. It's going to be much more difficult to go in. And by the way, you don't just cut off the head of the snake like they did in Venezuela. Iran's got you're not going to just get the Ayatollah out of there and think that the entire regime of Iran is going to change.
It's interesting. We'll see. Maybe it's like you said, just to really gin up a bunch of attention, which certainly it has done. But I also think that it is good to pay attention this weekend to international relations and what's happening in the Middle East.
Iran certainly has the capability to strike countries as close to it as Israel. They probably couldn't get to the United States.
That's correct.
But Israel's next door, pretty much. I mean, they're
and I
very
think
close by.
that's why Americans are being encouraged to leave Israel, is because they are next door to Iran. I agree with you. I don't think Iran can strike the United States, but they sure can get our allies.
This is one of those situations, and I know we're almost out of time, that I think the American people are going to say, we do not want to get into a conflict in the Middle East. We do not want to engage ourselves with Iran. It's one of those lose-lose situations where you're not going to just deal with it from the air. You've got to have people on the ground, and the United States I think the American public has no appetite for boots on the ground in Iran.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I will also say, right now we're saying they have stopped their negotiations where they were trying to figure out a middle ground. There's no deal, and war is on the table.
Yeah, Marco Rubio to Israel may be a good sign. Let's see how that goes.
Okay, well, when we come back, we're going to talk about how the CEO of Anthropic is telling the Pentagon no in the face of demands and threats that the AI company bend its ethical policies. We're going to describe what's at stake when we come back after this break.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too?
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
There are many times I thought, I can't do this. I mean, what parent isn't worried about? What am I not doing right? What am I not doing enough? And then I realized, wait, that's being a parent.
Don't worry about being perfect. I've had around 3 other mother figures in my life, but only one of them has taught me how a mother loves.
The greatest reward for me is he makes me better every day.
I would tell a family considering adopting a teenager that teenager, whoever it is, needs you, and they need what you have to offer.
Taylor's given me hope. He's our son, and that is what he will always be.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Do you have an IRA or 401k? It's natural to think of this as being your money, right? But remember, you still have to pay taxes when you withdraw this money in retirement. And you could be paying a lot more in taxes on these accounts than you know. A lot more. Learn the strategies that can help you reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
Come on, the meeting's already started.
Sometimes it's important.
Last call, boarding gate number 9.
Sometimes it's urgent.
Trip for Allure.
Sometimes it's vital. Hospital treatment within 1 hour of a stroke can prevent lifelong disability. If you notice someone experiencing sudden weakness on one side or having a problem speaking, walking, or seeing, call 911 fast. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed, plus an extra $100 off all mattresses. And Saturday. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop texts. StopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, the Pentagon has given artificial intelligence company Anthropic, and you'll have to tell me who they are, until 5 o'clock today, Eastern Time, 5:01, to agree to its terms for using its artificial intelligence in the military, or the Pentagon will terminate the partnership. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei said in a statement on Friday that the company, quote, cannot in good conscience accede to the Pentagon's terms for its AI technology. Let's turn to ABC's Start Here podcast to explain what's going on.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has taken big steps to incorporate AI at the Pentagon.
Very soon we will have the world's leading AI models on every unclassified and classified network throughout our department.
And while several well-known companies have taken him up on the offer, one of the best-known chatbot makers in this country, Anthropic, has expressed unease with the arrangement.
How do we keep these systems under control that are highly autonomous and smarter than any human?
Well, now, the U.S. government has issued a deadline. If Anthropic doesn't agree to play ball by 5 p.m. today, they say, life is about to get very difficult for them. Let's go to ABC senior White House correspondent Selena Wang. Selena, what is Anthropic and why is the Pentagon mad at it?
Yeah, Brad, so you've probably used ChatGPT before, I am assuming, but you may not have used a similar AI tool called Claude, and that's made by the company Anthropic. It is one of the biggest AI companies in the world, and its technology is so advanced that even the U.S. military uses it. But as you just laid out, that partnership is now on the line. The Pentagon is giving Anthropic this ultimatum, which is drop your restrictions on how we use your technology by 5 p.m. today, or we terminate the partnership. This is a really big deal, Brad, because if you just step back and look at this, this is really a fight over who sets the rules for how AI is used, and in this case specifically by the military, the companies building it or the government using it.
We will not employ AI models that won't allow you to fight wars.
The Pentagon says they want to use AI for all lawful purposes. Anthropic says we've got some clear red lines.
I think it's really interesting that you have, this is an artificial intelligence company, and you have the CEO saying, we will not allow our technology to be used to do mass surveillance of U.S. citizens And one of the things the Washington Post said is basically the war games show that Claude will go to nuclear war. Like the Anthropic CEO said, you can't just say we can do whatever we want whenever we want. And Hegseth responded and said, well, we're not going to use it to do mass surveillance of U.S. citizens. I'm sorry, but without guardrails, why would we take him at his word?
Right. Okay, so these AI programs, how are these AI programs being used by the Pentagon? ABC's Selena Wang helps us understand that.
Artificial intelligence is so powerful. There are many use cases within the Department of Defense, and the Pentagon has been using Anthropic's technology as part of this $200 million AI pilot program within the DoD. And it's not just Anthropic. There's Elon Musk's xAI, Google, OpenAI. They're also part of the program. And reportedly, Anthropic's AI tools have already been used in some pretty high-profile operations. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Anthropic's AI was used in the U.S. military operation to capture former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro.
The men and women of our military working with U.S. law enforcement successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night.
Not Anthropic. When I asked them about, whether they could confirm this, they said they can't comment on whether any of their AI models were used for any specific operation, classified or unclassified.
What are the concerns from Anthropic? What are they worried about happening?
So, yeah, Brad, Anthropic says they've got some clear red lines. That includes using AI on the battlefield where it is AI and not humans that make the final targeting decision. And they're against using AI for mass domestic surveillance. Now, the Pentagon, for its part, says they've got no desire to use AI for either of those use cases, but argues that the restrictions that Anthropic wants could jeopardize their military operations in critical moments. And you've got to remember, if you don't know too much about Anthropic, this is run by a CEO who really wants to see their company as being the ethical kingpin in the AI space.
There are only a small number of years for AI models surpassing the cognitive capabilities of most humans for most things.
The CEO wrote an essay earlier this year where he laid out why he's so concerned about AI use in the military. In fact, he wrote that fully autonomous AI-powered weapons increase the risk of democratic governments turning them against their own people to seize power.
Again, I think it's really interesting here. And, there is a tie to Utah, and that is the AI bill, the AI transparency bill that has basically been mothballed because the White House doesn't want it to pass. That's Doug Fiafia's bill that says we're going to put some transparency requirements and some guardrails on these AI companies. And it was the White House that has pushed back and has gotten that bill basically killed.
What I don't understand, and I guess I'm not a tech expert by any means, is that if you have Anthropic or you have any of these other AI systems, how can the provider limit what information you have or what you use it for? It seems like it's kind of an open book. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to think how Anthropic can say you can use it for this, but you can't use it for that.
So I think one of the points, as I understand it, is that there are guardrails with Anthropic. And what the Department of Defense wants is no guardrails. They want them completely unrestricted use in any capability at any time. And Anthropic, again, a private company says, no, that's not appropriate. We have some concerns here. One of the things I was going to say, by the way, is Anthropic does support Doug Fiafia's bill, but they're the only AI company as far as I know.
And I guess that the hook that the federal government has is then we just won't do business with you, which would be probably a significant part of their business.
Yeah, but not only that, but they are threatening to blackball them. They are threatening to say we're going to declare, and I can't remember the official word, it's not the state of emergency, but whatever, to say that we can take over any private company for use in security of the nation, right? I mean, there's some real concerns here. And when I hear a company president say we should be aware that there are concerns with unrestricted artificial intelligence, I think we should take those seriously.
And did I hear correctly that some artificial intelligence outlets, I guess that's not the right word, providers are allowing the government to have complete access? Or
So
is Anthropic sort of an outlier?
well, I think they're an outlier, but I don't know how many are actually have the government contract. I think it may be only Anthropic that has this contract. But it was the Defense Production Act, which would give the military sweeping authority to use its products, even if the company doesn't approve. They could designate Anthropic a supply chain risk. And they already said, basically until 5:01, which is 3:01 Utah time, turn it over or else. Right. And Anthropic is sticking to its guns. In fact, I've seen all over social media people who work for Anthropic just saying, I'm so proud of my company right now.
Wow. It's another sign, though, that something's going on, that the Defense Department, the Pentagon, the Department of War, whatever you want to call it, is gearing up. They're trying to get as much information as possible. And I know that's I'm surmising a little bit here, but all things point towards something happening big at the near future, especially in the Middle East, and the government trying to get as much information as they can.
So you asked about whether other companies do it, and actually this is an Associated Press article I'm reading right here. Anthropic is the last of its AI peers to not supply its technology to a new U.S. military internal network. We live in a brave new world.
Yes. So with some people, it's like the men's and women's hockey team. One does this and one does that, and same with the artificial intelligence. Before we break, I did want to say that the deposition of Bill Clinton has apparently started. We spoke yesterday. We've only got a minute left here, but with the deposition that was being held by the House Oversight Committee, this is a closed deposition. It's behind closed doors, but it is under oath. Hillary Clinton's deposition yesterday took something like 6 hours, and I didn't think she had much to say. Bill Clinton certainly has more involvement with Epstein, you would think.
Yep.
And we've seen pictures of him with Epstein. So his deposition could go much longer, but 6 hours itself was a long time for somebody to say, I don't know anything about this. And apparently that one devolved into UFOs and
that is exactly
other
right.
things. So, well, the 2026 legislative session here in Utah ends 1 week from today. Hooray! When we come back, we'll talk about some of the bills that we're keeping an eye on that may be considered by the legislature very soon. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, a bill requiring voters to show ID when returning their ballots to drop boxes in Utah is advancing in the House. It would require 2 poll workers to be stationed at each drop box, which limits the hours the drop boxes would be available to use. Lawmakers who oppose the bill say it suppresses voter participation. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, the civil trial against social media companies continues today, where lawyers for YouTube are questioning the plaintiff who filed the lawsuit.
By the time she was 9, Kaylee says she was sneaking on Instagram behind her mother's back, creating more than a dozen profiles to garner more likes, even spending 16 hours a day on the app. One alternative juror seen wiping away tears as Kaylee testified she now suffers from anxiety, depression, and body dysmorphia.
ABC's Hannah Battah reporting. The UVU men's basketball team remains in first place in the WAC after beating Tarleton State, and the rest of our Northern Utah team is in action, or teams are in action tomorrow. Utah travels to Arizona State. Utah State hosts Grand Canyon, Weber State is at Idaho State, and BYU plays a Saturday matinee at West Virginia. We start our coverage here on KSL News Radio with Cougar Sports Saturday at noon. The tip is at 3:30. Right now, let's get a look at your money at this moment. The Dow is down 604. That is 1 2/10%. We're at 48,894. Coming up, a beautiful day in store. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother. A necklace tucked away in a drawer. Pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jeweler specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design, every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. dukesjewelers.com.
Amanda, I've been taught to begin with the end in mind. And when it comes to something like weight loss, that's really, really important because some weight loss plans have no end. It's like another refill or another bill or another year. But Soda weight loss has a finish line.
You learn it once, you use it forever. And I'm all about health. I mean, I don't want to have my body become addicted to another drug that I have to take forever in order to be healthy. I want the opposite of that. I want fewer medications. I want my body to learn how to do this on its own and be strong.
For so many weight loss drugs, you have to just take them forever in order to maintain that feeling when you cross the finish line.
Yeah.
When I hit 70 pounds that I let go of in 5 months, what an amazing feeling. And it was amazing to know I could just go forward from this point.
You can talk to a nutritionist and ask all your questions at 866-800-SODA.
Or you can go to sotaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Because at Soda, join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Up to $500 for loan transfers. Love where you bank. And here's Cormac Bone.
No accidents or delays across the Wasatch Front on any of your major roadways. I-15, a clean and clear drive between Ogden and Provo. We do have some normal construction delays. Eastbound Corey Ride Highway approaching Mountain View Corridor. And a little more east from that on Pioneer Crossing. As you get close to I-15, you're going to see that normal construction delay. Step aboard history, walk through recreations, see real artifacts, and feel the legacy of Titanic, the exhibition. Open now at the shops at Southtown and Sandy. Tickets at thetitanicexhibition.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Highs will be near 60 today, which is about 10 degrees above normal. And the 60s will continue through the weekend until a storm moves in on Sunday night that'll bring rain to the valleys and snow to the upper elevations. Right now, it's 48 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
Of course, we've been keeping our eye on the Hill. We've been up on the Hill twice during the session, and we are today's Friday, which means 1 week from today. I don't know, does it end at midnight?
At midnight.
At midnight, the session will be over. We've only got 5 more business days after today.
That's right. That's right. And look, we've been keeping track of how many bills have been drafted. This is not as many as have been requested because it takes time for the attorneys to draft these. There are 1,003
we crossed
drafted
the threshold.
bills. Yeah, we did. And the last highest number was last year. It was, I think, 959. We're way past that. Over 1,000 bills currently drafted, more that will never even be drafted this legislative session.
And you have to wonder, in a 45-day session where you probably have at least 10 of those days as weekends or holidays, that gives you 30 some odd days,
yep.
900 some odd bills. That's 30 a day.
Yeah, but
30,
it doesn't work that way.
I know. But I'm just thinking, I'm just doing the math, which is what I do. You have committees, you have other things, but it's still a lot of bills to be considered in a short period of time. And I know they're divided up into committees, and some aren't getting very far, but it's still a lot to be considered in a short period of time.
My goodness, so many to be considered. So I wanted to just talk about a few bills today. Some of them are new, but most of the committees today are considering bills from the other body, which means that they have passed through at least one body. So the Senate bills are being considered now by House committees, and House bills are being considered by Senate committees. There are a few exceptions, but largely they are starting to work on the bills that have at least passed out of one body.
So let's talk about a few that are maybe more interesting. We've been trying to follow several bills, but you've got a couple listed here that we haven't really talked about before.
Which ones? So I'm looking at there's ones we have talked about before, including the early literacy bill. So that's the one that says we want to get more third graders reading on grade level by 2030, which is less than 4 years away.
Oh, is that the one that suggested maybe holding back third graders
that's
who aren't
part of
at,
it.
at
Mhm.
level?
Yep.
That's Senate Bill 241.
That's
and
right.
That's supposed to be heard in the House Education Committee today at 4, meaning that it's passed the Senate.
It's passed the Senate, and it's going to be heard in the House committee. Yep. That's
Were there
right.
changes? Do you know, is it similar to the bill that we talked about
Mhm.
before?
It's similar. So there's not a lot of changes, but I think it got a lot of attention because of the let's hold kids back. But that's not the only component of the bill, right? There's a lot of parts of the bill. In fact, one of the things that changes is they want to add funding for literacy specialists, right? They want to get kids reading. It's not, here's my stick, I want to use it. First, they want to use the carrot. So yeah, there are some changes, but basically this has really broad support, and it will be heard in the House.
You
the
have
House
to.
committee.
They have to do something like that because the stick of holding somebody back is just, I don't know, that could be very tough on a kid.
Right, and you're not going to pass a bill that just says, "Hey, by the way, hold kids back." So anyway, it's much broader than that. There's another bill that we've talked about before too, and this is classroom technology amendments. We've talked about this bill with Representative Ariel DeFay. She's the main sponsor of the bill. This bill has something like 24 co-sponsors to the bill, and this is the one, if you remember, that would reduce technology use in the classroom. So this is the one saying, especially when she talked to us on our show at the very beginning of the session, she said, I'm especially interested in the K through 3 level with students. We want those kids to not start their learning right off the bat on devices.
Or with artificial intelligence, or is that different?
So artificial intelligence is part of this bill, but
a separate
it's a separate part.
Okay.
So
no, let's stay with the first one because I think that makes a lot of sense. K through 3, not necessarily bringing your smart device into the classroom.
Well, no, it's not just that. It's teaching the kids. So, for example, if you go into my daughter's 6th grade classroom, she has a Chromebook, and she has to do her homework on the Chromebook, and she does her math lessons, and she does her reading lessons on the Chromebook, right? What this bill says is let's reduce that. But what it really is doing is saying we want the State Board of Education to come up with policies both for reducing technology in the classroom. And I don't mean the cell phone ban, that's a different bill, but what kids actually have to do to learn in the classroom. Do they have to use technology? And then the other part is this will make the State Board of Education create a model policy on artificial intelligence. And there's a lot of detail in the bill about what they want to see with artificial intelligence.
Like when and how it can be used by both teacher and the student.
Absolutely. Yep. And they want, basically, we talked about guardrails. They want guardrails on how you use AI.
Right, because otherwise artificial intelligence could get you through high school if you just ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And without really knowing anything.
Can you imagine teachers who use AI to create lesson plans, kids who use AI to teach, and they do that, and I think that's a valid use. But to use AI to create lesson plans for maybe subjects they don't really know a lot about and they don't really understand, and then you have kids who use AI to complete the questions, and nobody learns anything.
Or taught anything, even the teacher didn't learn anything that he or she needed.
And
to
I love
teach
teachers.
From. Right, of course.
Please don't send me angry texts. I love teachers, but
and there's a place for AI with teaching.
There is, and there is for students as well, right? And we've talked about that. In fact, that I'm teaching a class right now, and it's like they have to do public speaking, and I'm like, don't make ChatGPT write your speech. That's not going to cut it in this class. So
first of all, I think, no matter how good ChatGPT is, I think a lot of people would recognize that the speech was written with ChatGPT.
There are some tells, I understand.
Right,
so, anyway, one of the things too is that it would do. We were talking about like technology and whether you center how much homework you make kids do on their technology. We've gotten a lot of texts over that as we've talked about that as the session has unfolded. Well, this bill would actually prohibit students from taking home school-owned instructional technology like a Chromebook, for example, and it would prohibit homework requiring access to the internet in elementary school, basically. So 6th grade and under.
Hey, I'm putting you on the spot, but I like doing that. Do you know where the the cell phone ban bill
Yeah.
ended up?
On the governor's desk.
Oh, it's done.
It
It's-
passed all the way. So remember we said it was just one.
Right.
Yeah. It
Okay.
passed.
And you felt yesterday that it would sail through the governor's desk.
So it sailed through the House. They just had to concur. I mean, it sailed through the Senate. I think it had to concur with the House amendment, and it's waiting for the governor's signature.
And
now.
that was the bell-to-bell ban.
That's
that I
the
think the
bell-to-bell ban.
governor had already signaled his support.
Oh yeah,
for.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's no question he's going to sign that bill. So those are a couple of the education bills up today. Again, remember, as we get to the end of the session, we're going to start seeing. We only have 2 more days of committee after today. Monday and Tuesday we'll have committee hearings, but they will only talk about bills from the other body unless there's some really unusual bill that they want to discuss. And then the last 3 days of the session will be straight floor time.
I
They'll
have one
just
more
spend all day.
education bill that we talked about involving having buses have Bluetooth technology or whatever it's called, so that kids who are on all these longer
Internet
trips,
enabled, yeah.
right, can actually do their homework. And it was a pilot program that was probably going to cost a little bit and was going to be shelled out district by district. But I'm just wondering, it's for rural counties where kids are on the bus for a long time.
As far as I know, it's still moving forward, but it's not all the way through the process.
Okay.
Okay, and then there's one other bill. This is new. This is it's numbered 518, House Bill 518. So you know that it's come out recently. This is Doug Welton who is proposing this bill. He's a representative who's also a teacher, and what this bill would do was require social studies education in elementary and secondary schools. But what it really is asking specifically is that the American constitutional government and citizenship be taught as 2 distinct semester courses, and U.S. history to be taught as 2 distinct semester courses, and students can't take the same class twice to meet graduation requirements.
That makes a lot of sense.
To me, it's just saying, look, we want you to learn the stuff. Don't just sit in the same classroom twice in a row and feel like you actually got the information.
Right. Yeah. American constitutional government and citizenship and U.S. history both. So that'd be like 4 semesters.
Okay.
To me,
when we go to break, we'll come to you after 1 minute.
Our eye on the hill.
Yeah.
So we're going to switch back to courts. We've talked about lawsuits. This is actually a court case, and one of the high-profile court cases right now, I think maybe in the nation, I don't know, maybe it's just Utah, but that's the Corey Richins case. Yesterday, a house cleaner testified that she was involved in supplying drugs to Corey. We're going to talk about the latest as day 5 of the trial is underway, so stay with us.
Meet Morgan Jones.
1 minute.
Is about to step into a world unknown to most, thanks to Progressive's Renters Insurance, a place of fresh linens and turn-down service. You see, Morgan temporarily vacated her apartment and has gone to a hotel because a pipe burst in her apartment. A pipe that made her sense of reality and apartment ceiling all come crashing down. Luckily, Morgan checked into Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers.
Jackson Hewitt knows taxes are complicated, and with multiple jobs and tax forms, they're like Sonata complicated. Our no surprise pricing keeps things simple. Jackson Hewitt does your taxes for only $149 or less. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back. So what are you waiting for? Hurry. File with Jackson Hewitt today for only $149 or less, guaranteed.
5 seconds.
New clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
A warning, your cryptocurrency kiosk scams from AARP Utah. Scammers are getting smarter, and Utahns are paying the price. Criminals are using cryptocurrency ATMs to commit fraud, stealing people's retirement savings and costing Utahns millions of dollars a year. Many scams start with an unexpected call, text, or email from someone claiming to be a trusted source, like your bank, a business you use, or even law enforcement. They'll tell you there's an urgent problem and instruct you to take cash to a crypto kiosk or ATM. They may even stay on the phone pressuring you to act fast and keep it secret. But once you feed cash into a crypto ATM, it's converted to cryptocurrency and sent to the scammer's wallet, and it can be almost impossible to recover. Remember, no legitimate organization will ever ask you to pay with cryptocurrency. Learn more at the rising cost of cryptocurrency scams by visiting aarp.org/UT. A message paid for by AARP Utah.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
There's danger out there. It lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Well, the trial of Corey Richins, the Utah mother accused of poisoning her husband, has entered its 5th day. It started this week, and we learned yesterday about drugs being supplied to Richins when a house cleaner testified that she'd repeatedly obtained fentanyl at the request of Corey Richins. Here's some of what happened yesterday.
Did Corey Richins ever ask you to purchase for her illicit drugs?
Yes.
How many times?
4.
Did you purchase illicit drugs for her?
Yes.
How many times?
4.
How did Corey Richins approach you about purchasing drugs?
She had reached out and asked if I could do her a favor, and I said, yeah, probably, what is it? And then she had called me and asked me if I could reach out to somebody for some pay meds for an investor that she knew.
So I need to make a disclaimer right here that I'm not an attorney in the case. I have been asked to be a spokesperson for the Eric Richins family, the victim's family. And so because of that, I have intentionally not been involved with the trial. I haven't been watching the trial. I haven't been commenting on the trial. But we are covering it today, and we're going to have others, such as our reporter who's been watching it, talk about the case. I'm not going to opine one way or the other about it.
Okay. Well, we do have with us Emily Ashcroft from KSL.com. Emily, thanks for joining us today.
Happy to.
Can you tell us just about where we are today, what's going on today?
Yeah, so Carmen Labar, the house cleaner, is still on the stand. She's cross-examination started yesterday afternoon and is just still going as Corey Richins' attorneys are trying to poke holes in her story and point out where her memory has been inconsistent.
And of course, she was, I assume, a drug user at the time, Emily, and so that would certainly be reason to impeach her credibility and maybe her memory, correct?
Yeah, so she said she's been a drug user since she was 6. When she was testifying, at first she did say she was clean at the time. She said she's been clean for the last 4 years. But as Wendy Lewis pointed out, some urine analysis tests during those months when she says she was providing drugs to Corey Richins, she was pretty consistently testing positive.
So why did she come forward, Emily, or why is she on the stand, I guess?
Yeah, she did not necessarily come forward. She was arrested and interviewed later. So I'm not positive at this point why the police targeted her, but she was cleaning Corey Richins' house every other week, and was someone Corey Richins would have known that was associated with drugs.
Did this witness describe any changes in behavior for Corey Richins or anything unusual that was happening in the house at the time?
She did not. I think she was actually kind of on her way out from working for Corey Richards' aunt's company at the time. So I'm not sure if she was even cleaning her house right up to that point or not. But she was associating with people that were, and was still talking to people who were letting her know, oh, Eric Richards died, and stuff like that.
So, Emily, I've obviously done a lot of trials where informants come forward and testify. And as a defense attorney, of course, you're going to want to ask what's in it for them. I'm wondering if during cross-examination she described that the state had given her some sort of break on her criminal charges or recommended that she not do as much jail, or there was some quid pro quo, if that makes sense, or whether she's just testifying ostensibly because she thinks she's doing the right thing. Did that come out at all?
Some of each has come out. So she did say that when she heard Eric Richards died of a drug overdose, she thought, oh, I need to do something and come forward. But yes, she has definitely been handed some get out of jail free cards for this. And the prosecution, there was an interview played where they said, if they'll help her if she helps them. And by help them, they said, give us what it'll take to convict Corey Richards. So,
is that somehow appropriate, Greg, the attorney?
Yeah, I don't think it's the kind of thing you'd say. You'd say, we think she committed a crime. We want you to help us solve the crime, but we need you to. You always have to qualify things with, but you need to tell the truth. We're prosecuting her.
Yes.
We need you to tell the truth. And I assume that the law enforcement or the prosecutor said something to that effect, Emily, instead of, we need you to help us bury Corey Richards.
Yes, well, and there are lots of conversations that have been pointed to, and that is just a small clip that Corey Richards' defense attorneys picked out.
So I wouldn't have expected necessarily, Emily, and we've got Emily Ashcraft from KSL.com who's been following the trial, that her testimony would have taken as long as it has. Maybe the cross-examination is more thorough than I would have expected, but she's been on the stand for a while yesterday and again today, correct?
Yeah, I think she started, I think it was before lunch yesterday, and she's just, if not, it was right after lunch. So she's been on the stand for a long time. When the cross-examination first started, Wendy Lewis brought up 3 big binders from different interviews that she'd need to refer to during the cross-examination. So it is stretching.
How has this witness come across? I mean, she's obviously got personal issues and has had a drug addiction in the past. The picture I saw in your article, she seemed calm and confident, but I don't know how she's coming across just to you, just sort of being able to observe her. Did you notice anything about her demeanor that was troubling or maybe give her more credibility?
Yeah, she does seem calm and a little bit confident, but she's also admitting that, my memory's not there as much as it should be, kind of as she is going through. And it's getting confusing for even the judge at one point was kind of saying, okay, we've got to, there are these different drug deals that we're talking about, and we have to be more clear because it's getting confusing.
So, Emily, let me ask you this question. There's some kind of reference to a woman's jacket. What is that about?
Yeah, so there's a woman's, I think the brand is Under Armour, I'm not positive, a woman's jacket that was recently retrieved from Corey Richards' house just in a search in the last month. And so that's one of the items of evidence that we don't quite know very much about in the trial. So in the pocket of that jacket in an earlier search, there was a pair of tweezers and a piece of plastic. And so the evidence technician talked about finding those, and that was something that the prosecutor said they want the court to keep, so the jury to have access to. But we don't yet know what was on those.
Emily,
why those are so important.
Yeah, were you able to watch the early parts of the trial? Speaking about Eric, I think one of Eric's sisters testified kind of right out of the chute. Did you happen to watch her testimony? What was I was surprised at that. I mean, obviously I'm not prosecuting or defending the case, but what was the essence of her testimony? Just how Corey acted and reacted after Eric's death?
Yeah, so I think why they called them first was because she and also Eric Richards' father wanted to sit in on the trial. And so calling them first allowed it was more easier for them to sit in and listen. But yeah, they were testifying about how they both rushed to the house right after Eric Richins died early that morning. And so what they saw when they were there, they talked about how Corey Richins was not interacting with them very much.
Yeah. So thanks you, Emily. That's Emily Ashcraft from KSL.com. I was going to say something, Holly, and that is that when witnesses testify, there's typically what they call the exclusionary rule, meaning witnesses cannot sit in and hear other witnesses testify. Everybody waits outside. So once a witness has testified, they can stay in the courtroom because they're done. And so what Emily just described is she thought they were called kind of out of order a little bit so that they could watch the trial. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you hear somebody else testify and you go, oh, yeah, that's right. It was on a Tuesday. We really want witnesses to testify in a vacuum.
Sure.
What do you remember? Not
sure.
What do you remember after hearing what other people testified to. It's called the exclusionary rule, and there are two different definitions of the exclusionary rule, but that one deals with trials. And I didn't understand why they were called first, but Emily made a lot of sense with that, which is, hey, the sisters wanted to watch the trial. They're arguably with the victim's family, and so they probably had that right.
Interesting.
Well, when we come back, over half of Americans say health care, a weekend-long vacation, and a new car are unaffordable these days. And as we head into midterm elections, economy and inflation, affordability are on the top of voters' concerns. Where is the winning economy what we've heard about? Where is this winning economy that we've heard about? Is there a winning economy that we've heard about? We'll come back. We'll be right back.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, lawmakers are recommending a bill that would require schools to show a fetal development video in certain grades. Representative Nicolene Peck wants the video shown to 5th and 6th graders during their maturation programs, child development courses, and biology classes.
This is part of just, I think, human education that we should know how we develop.
Opponents raised concerns about the accuracy of the video. Our top national story this hour, we're getting mixed messages about the progress in the talks between the U.S. and Iran over Iran's nuclear program.
It's hard to say. I mean, the Iranians think it went well, the Omanis think it went well, and the American delegation is saying nothing. Now, that could be for one or two reasons. Either they just don't want to hash this out in public, or they have a very different interpretation of quite how it went.
ABC's Ian Pannell reporting from Geneva, Switzerland. A man was rescued outside of Gainesville, Florida, after he was found stuck in some deep mud. And
Okay, when we go to break, we'll come to you after the 13-second liner.
Below freezing at night. We're told it took 3 hours to dig the man out. Then he was flown to a hospital in critical condition, but we are...
Thank you.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is having a rough day, down 749 points. That's 1.5%. We're at 48,746. Coming up, temperatures well above normal today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
The source is where we get our news.
10 seconds.
Utah's Morning News. We want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
High five.
You're clear.
Up top.
Dave's company just got the 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Yeah! It's 5 years of gig speed internet, advanced security, and a great rate that won't change. All from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
Heck yeah!
He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread.
Yes!
The Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee. Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping.
For a limited time, now through March 29th, switch to Comcast Business to lock in your rate for 5 years and get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig bundle. Or ask how to get started with 150 megabit internet and Security Edge for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Don't wait. Call today. Restrictions apply. New customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. Paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account required. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.44% on savings at UCCU.com. And here's Cormac Bone.
Well, the only slow spot on I-15 I can see across the Wasatch Front, that's in Orem approaching University Parkway. That's a little small pocket of slowdown, so you might see a few brake lights through there. Eastbound on Pioneer Crossing, otherwise our heaviest delays, and that's normal in the construction zone. Looks like we do have a crash, 2200 west at 1600 north. That's currently being cleared. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
So today we should hit 60 degrees with plenty of sunshine. The clouds will move back in on Saturday ahead of a storm that arrives Sunday night into Monday. That'll bring valley rain and mountain snow. Right now it's 48 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
In his recent State of the Union address, President Trump addressed the economy, and I suppose he had to because that's something that a lot of people are thinking about right now, and it's something that it's changed. It's getting better in some respects. It's getting worse in some respects. But even today, over half of Americans say health care, a week-long vacation, and a new car are still unaffordable.
And I think I want to clarify that that's not using all three at the same time, right?
Yeah.
It's saying we can't afford to get a car, we can't afford to take a vacation, right? And that's a poll that's done by ABC News and the Washington Post. They use Ipsos to do the actual polling, but I think that's one thing that's important to note. And something like 2/3 of non-homeowners, so renters, they don't think they'll be able to afford a home in the foreseeable future. And nearly half of us report having debts, including, of course, credit cards, auto loans, student loans, medical debt, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect that number to be much higher. Everybody's got credit card debt. It seems like maybe significant debt, or I don't know. But I read something today that interest had got below 6%. Maybe that will be a good starter for some people who can't afford homes, getting interest rates down. I know the administration has been pushing the Fed to get interest rates down without jacking up inflation, and that's a tough thing for the government to have to handle. But there is, and debt. I think that Biden or maybe Trump was trying to limit credit card interest payments too, so that people wouldn't get upside down.
That would have been. Yeah, I don't know, to limit it to 10%. I don't think that's going anywhere.
Right.
One of the things, too, that I think is important to note, so this is a national poll, but the Deseret News also did one, and they wanted to find out what Utahns and nationally, but what they saw as the biggest challenges moving into the midterms. And what do you think it was?
Affordability?
Yeah, number one.
Yeah.
Is the price of goods, right? They're really concerned about being able to afford things. And it's a huge deal in the midterms. I think it was Bill Clinton, by the way, who said it's the economy stupid. No, wait, it wasn't him. It was one of his advisors. But it still remains an issue for Americans, including Utahns.
And maybe it's a little bit of a irony that the administration has done an admirable job of curbing immigration, and so which was a huge issue before, and so voters are now looking at something else, and saying, okay, now we have affordability as a problem. And it is a huge problem in America. When you think about, we've talked about this a lot on this show, young people today not being able to afford homes when 20, 30, 40 years ago, that was the American dream. Everybody was working toward buying a home. You and I both bought our homes at a pretty young age, even
I was
though
in my 20s.
Yeah, so was I. I was, just getting out of law school, and I bought my first home. Of course, interest rates were, well, actually, they were bad then. When I bought
they were really bad.
They were worse than they are now, but we still bought them because it was just something you did. And I think interest rates weren't the problem. What made them affordable was that the price of a house was much, much lower than it is today.
Yeah, that's true. Look, in this national poll, and we're talking about renters and feeling like they can't afford a home. They're saying even those who are earning six figures don't think they can afford a home, right? So we're talking about as things go up, people are feeling like a mortgage is out of reach, that going on a week-long vacation is out of reach. Certainly, we know that there are a lot of Americans who ended up dropping health care because health care premiums went up in January. That's an issue too, right? So we have this mixed messages, I guess. You've got people down in the trenches feeling the pinch, but we also have the President of the United States saying we're in the golden age.
Right. And if you look at the Deseret News poll, they list about 12, maybe 15 factors. The top 3 all deal with affordability.
Yeah.
Economy and jobs, healthcare, inflation. Those are the top 3 issues right now that people are looking at as, and the poll is interesting because it says, thinking about the 2016 midterm elections, which of the following issues will be the most important to you when you consider who to vote for?
You mean 2026, right?
What'd I say?
2016?
Oh, well, 2026, 2026, whatever's this year in November. Those are the 3 issues. Immigration is down to number 4. It's still significant, but not where it was before. And then it goes down to other things, including sort of policy type things.
And I told you there was another one too, and this one is from Reuters, so different organization, but there are only 30% of U.S. adults think the U.S. economy is booming, and only 16% feel like there's hardly any inflation, which means 82% think there's inflation, right, going on in the United States right now.
Well, it is. I mean, despite what we heard at the State of the Union about inflation, I mean, the numbers are certainly not where they had been in the past, but we're not down to 1 point something. I mean, I think the last numbers I saw were something like 2.4, 2.3, that kind of area, which maybe is a livable inflation rate, although it seems like the Fed tries to get it down to 2 or just below that.
Yeah, again, it's an ongoing issue, and sometimes the way voters vote is look, it's hard to tell somebody the economy's booming if your family lost a job and might lose a house because you can't afford to make the mortgage payment.
Yeah. You know, and here's an interesting, because they talk about Utah versus the United States in terms of what's important to them. And one number that's significantly different in Utah as opposed to nationally is family values, morality, or faith. 14% of Utahns think that's important. 7% nationally. I mean, it's half. You know,
that finding doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, but it's interesting. And then political party, this one surprises me. Only 4% of Utahns think political party's important. 5% of the nation. I would have thought Utah would have felt that the political party affiliation was more important than it is.
Well, you know, the it's hard to say party affiliation. So we have Republicans, the most registered Republicans, and then the next category under that is unaffiliated voters.
Right.
We have a good chunk of unaffiliated voters in our state. So the big takeaway, I guess, for me is as we continue to watch, of course, what happens with the nation. If we're going to go to war with Iran over the weekend, I don't know. But inflation right now and the economy are just the top concerns. And if something doesn't feel like it turns around before Election Day, what was Adam Gardner's statement? We're cooked.
Yeah, bro. Or what was it? Yeah.
Bro, we're cooked.
Bro, we're cooked. So, I mean, we have 8 months before the election to get things right, and maybe the economy will get better in that period of time. Maybe gas prices will come down as they have a little bit. Maybe inflation will come down as it has a little bit, and maybe interest rates will come down as it has a little bit. But I think most Americans are still saying, great. going to get me a home.
Yeah, I think that's right. And this shouldn't be surprising either, but we know it's younger adults, it's women, Democrats and independents. They're reporting higher levels of financial strain, interestingly, compared with older adults and Republicans. So.
Yeah. You know, climate's not even on the list, but maybe it wasn't one of those factors to consider.
Even if it was, it hasn't, I don't think, risen to the top of what is really capturing people's attention right now.
Yeah.
In the United States. So,
and foreign policy way down.
And isn't that interesting? Because to me, foreign policy is a huge deal, and there's just so much of it.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? We're going to go to the movie show, and there's some scary stuff there too, actually.
Hello, Sydney. Remember me?
We'll be right back.
More than 50 million.
Okay, ready? 25 seconds.
Isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
I'm back to
You're clear.
I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you spend half your day walking or standing?
Andy?
Yes.
I think I'm gonna have Corey play the Scream 7 trailer. So just FYI.
We just barely heard before the break.
Oh, did we hear? No, different. Like it's whatever Gustavo loaded in. I don't know what he has. That one was one that I pulled. How long is that? 10 seconds? Yeah. But then I think we'll start with the plot twist question, and if we have time, we'll do the other one too. But we'll just kind of see. So,
Okay.
is Rachel with you?
Yes.
Okay. As long as you know, just think about a movie that has the best plot twist.
Since Scream has plot twists, they're going to switch it up. Because apparently neither of them ever sneak watched it.
Well, Greg does have. Well, Greg has something, so we can go there. But I'm kind of trying to just do it a little different, so it doesn't spoil your entire show. So.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
Nathan has taught me to
embrace the moment. Age-wise, I'm in my late 60s. I'm old enough to be his grandfather. Will he be embarrassed to acknowledge me as his dad? I think the most important thing we can do is let them know that they're safe, that they're valued and cared for and loved, and that they're important.
I knew I wanted to be adopted by him because of how he taught me to be the person who I am today. And it's coming from a dad that didn't expect to become a dad, and I feel very proud to be his son.
That was what he needed, and he was what I needed. Every day is full of new opportunities. That's what it's been about, realizing the simple things that it takes to make such a huge difference in these kids' lives.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Fridays are fun because we get to Holly's fun facts of the day an hour earlier, and we've just been talking about them during the break, and they're more than we could even cover during this segment. But there are some really interesting things.
So I'm going to tell you a couple of fun things that I think are super interesting. So this weekend, like starting tonight or tomorrow, there are 6 planets that will be visible in the night sky if it's clear, right? So you can see 6 planets going around the night sky. That's a lot of them, right?
You usually only see 1 or 2 at a time.
That's right.
But to have 6 in the same night sky, of course, you have to have
But it's basically all of them.
Yeah, I was going to say you have to have a pretty big telescope to see that many.
There's another celestial thing that's happening, and this is Monday night going into Tuesday, and it's a full lunar eclipse, and it can be seen. It'll be able to be seen across multiple continents. So, again, barring clouds, we should be able to see it here. One of the things that's really interesting to me is that it will be considered a blood red moon, and it'll last for like an hour. It's quite a long thing, like 4 a.m. Monday, like going into Tuesday morning.
So
I'll be up to watch it.
I think it's the combination when you have a lunar eclipse with a full moon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And then you just get the red ring around it. They call it a blood moon or something like
I
that.
know.
It's beautiful. And that's Monday night?
That is Monday night.
Does it say
So
the
this
time?
weekend, so 4 a.m. going into Tuesday morning. So when you get up to come to the show on
ready for the
Tuesday,
show.
go outside and look.
I'll be watching it while
Yeah,
I'm
I
driving,
will
yeah.
too. I will too. So I thought those were both pretty fun facts, right?
Yeah, those are
for
interesting
looking up at the
facts.
night sky. There's a couple of other fun facts that I wanted to share for February 27th. It was on this day in 1951 that the states ratified the 22nd Amendment. And I reminded you, what is that one?
That's an important one because it provides term limits for the president.
That is correct.
Two terms.
Two terms. And then there were a couple of deaths that happened on this day that I wanted to just mention. So it was on this day in 2003 that Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, died. He was 74. And it was on this day in 2015 that Leonard Nimoy died. I know him as Spock, right? He died at age 83.
Won't you be my neighbor? And what did...
Live long and prosper.
Yeah,
live long and prosper.
Right.
All right, Andy Farnsworth and Rachel Wagner, are you living long and prospering? Okay.
Tell us.
What's our big movie of the week?
Scott, why are you calling me?
It's not Scott. You're going to die tonight.
The scary voice thing is a little bit sexy, but you could work on it.
I take it.
That's weird.
I take it Scream is...
Did you have nightmares? Ugh. Really? Okay, that just does not sound appealing. I'm so sorry. Just not appealing.
But you're right, Rachel. That soundbite we just played was funny. That makes it's a comedy in some respects. Don't take it too seriously.
Okay.
So does Scream have some sort of I don't know consistency? Like you've Scream one, and what is it about them?
Mm. Mm. Wow. Wow. Hmm. Really? Oh, well, I'm the outlier
Yeah,
then.
I was going to say I'm.
I could be the killer.
I'm 7
No.
episodes behind here. I've got some
Exactly.
work to do. Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, because you had mentioned that the first few, at least, Scream movies had some plot twist, we at Inside Sources wanted to flip the question on you and talk about some of the biggest plot twists we saw in movies.
Are you ready?
Greg has one. Maybe. Sure, you
Go
can have
ahead.
a spoiler, but they're older. No, they're older than that.
No.
No, it's older.
Okay, these are movies that you wait till the end and you're like, oh. So here's mine. Hopefully you'll get this one. Our producer did not.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. And like that,
Are you serious?
That's the greatest ending of any movie. If you
I
watch
don't know
it
what
and
one
you're
that
like,
one is.
Usual Suspects,
Oh,
Kevin Spacey.
okay.
I mean, you're watching this whole thing, and you're thinking, Kaiser Sose is this evil person. Where is he? And boom, I can't even tell you.
Okay,
You gotta
all
watch
right,
that
all
one.
right. Okay, here's mine.
This was actually the one I was thinking of doing, but hey, Holly got it ahead of me.
I see dead people.
That one I thought had a good twist
Now,
at the end.
how is that one not one that you wait a minute? At the very end, you go, oh, I was tricked the whole movie.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Right? I know.
What was the scene you had to replay? Because I think I know which one it was. I think it was. Oh, I thought it was one where they were sitting at dinner
yeah.
together, and he's talking
Interesting.
to her at a restaurant.
Well,
Yep.
So-
Yep.
I know. Yeah. I agree with that.
Okay. Interesting. Andy, you got 15 seconds. And I'm embarrassed to say I don't even know what that one had a plot twist, but I'll have to watch it over again. Well, that's it. I'm sorry. I got to get caught up. You guys are getting me into movies. I have to say I owe you guys because I'm watching more movies than I've ever watched. I know. I'll get caught up. Okay. All right. We're going to turn things over to the movie show now.
Okay, you're clear.
Roll for more on Scream 7 and everything else you need to watch this weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Have a good weekend.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. Utah's congressional delegation wants to change the protections at the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
Senator Mike Lee and Representative Celeste Malloy are working together to overturn the current management plan put in place by the Biden administration at Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument. They say the current plan is too strict and doesn't allow enough mixed use. This has conservationists worried because it could open the door to more development, grazing, and mining. Lee and Malloy plan to introduce a resolution in Congress next week.
This isn't the first time the monument has been the center of controversy. President Trump reduced the size of the monument in his first term before President Biden restored the original boundaries in 2021.